Like, how does a CEO take a 8-figure bonus and none of your employees have dental insurance?
Should billionaires exist? Bill Burr gave his thoughts on a recent podcast, a clip that I'll get to shortly. But first, to lay the groundwork here to help you understand how much $1 billion even is. I discovered this fantastic website that I'm going to link to below the video, and I will likely use this in the future in other videos when discussing how much $1 billion is. What does $1 billion look like? Website is the website. Again, I will link to it below the video in the description box. This is going to help you understand. And if you ever find yourself in a debate with somebody over should billionaires exist, you should go to this website and force them to scroll through it. So they write here, according to Forbes, as of early March 2023, there were 2,640 billionaires worldwide, 735 in the US alone. Let's get to the representations here. So that's 1 pixel. So think $1, 1,000 pixels, $1,000. Here's a million. That's a lot of money. Now, here's a billion. And if you take note of the scroll wheel on the side of the page there, we would be here a while if I didn't zoom through this like I am right now. Let's pause, see where we're at. We're at 250 billion, or 50 million, sorry. 420 million. Do you still support billionaires? 800 million. We're almost there. Just flying down the page here. And there we are. That's $1 billion. And they have another good example here, just how much the top billionaires have. So that dot is 1 billion. And look at Bezos, Musk, Larry Ellison, Bernard Arnault, Warren Buffett, and how much they have. It's absolutely insane. If you still support the idea that billionaires should exist when there are people who are homeless, when there are people who can't afford healthcare or don't have access to healthcare, I don't know what else to say. It's an absolutely insane system that clearly billionaires have a lot of influence over, or we would not be here. And I'm talking worldwide, because I'm going to get to some data later on showing thoughts from Americans and Canadians on the idea of a wealth tax or taxing the wealthy more. But let me get to this Bill Burr clip. This is on the Vulture podcast, which is called Good One, where he discusses billionaires.
My new perspective is there's nothing wrong with being a billionaire, but if somebody is working 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, and they can't make their rent, you're not paying them enough money. Maybe you should just be worth 900 million.
Yeah.
Like, how does a CEO take a 8-figure bonus and none of your employees have dental insurance? They can't even go out and get a filling. There's these nerd billionaires out there saying, I want my employees to come to work terrified, go to bed terrified, wake up terrified. I mean, you don't think it's that, then they're terrified to go out and spend any money.
All right, so that was shared by the Tennessee Holler on Twitter, and I want to show you just one of the replies, because Twitter, if you're not familiar, is an insane place now. Just a lot of people, whether they're real or bots, I don't know, but defending billionaires, defending Trump, incredibly far right-wing perspectives. But some of the replies are like this, just John here. How much money does Bill Burr charge for a ticket to his show? Does he live in a tent? So I looked this up. Bill Burr is worth about $20 million, which is a lot of money. Bill Burr is 50 times closer to being homeless with $0 than he is to being a billionaire. People truly cannot grasp how much $1 billion is. These are not in the same category as even Bill Burr, who's worth 20 million. Nowhere near. There is a reason why there's a particular issue with billionaires and not just your random celebrity who's making a good living. So, like, the amount of money these people have. Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg, we're talking a couple hundred to over $300 billion And remember, I showed you just what $1 billion looks like. Can you imagine if I had to scroll through $300 billion? We would be here all day. But this gets to some of the policy that these people influence. Trump's mega bill will give $117 billion in tax cuts to the top 1% in 2026. So as they write here, this is from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. Again, I will link to all my sources below the video. They write here, money that could otherwise be paying for rural hospitals, farm support, Medicaid, food assistance, or middle-class tax cuts in North Dakota, West Virginia, Maine, and Vermont, states which get relatively little from tax cuts for the very wealthy, will instead be flowing to billionaires in Texas, Florida, California, and New York. In all, if the $117 billion in tax cuts for the richest 1% nationwide were instead redirected evenly among the nation's population next year, each of us would receive $344 or over $1,375 for a family of four. Yet that money is going to billionaires who clearly do not need it. Now, there's a lot of polling on people's thoughts on the wealthy and taxation. This from Gallup. Do you think our government should or should not redistribute wealth by heavy taxes on the rich? 52% say yes. I think a lot more people need to see this website and understand how much the rich are getting away with, but it's still a majority. Americans' opinions on whether upper income people pay too much or too little in taxes. So a majority at 58% say they pay too little in taxes. And a Fox News survey, so this is from 2019, when this debate around a wealth tax was really focused on. Fox News survey showed that 70% of Americans favor raising taxes on those earning over $10 million, including 54% of Republicans. Now imagine that number if it was 50 million, 100 million. You're just going to get more and more people on board with the obvious. These people need to pay a lot more in tax. Now, on the Canadian side, the idea of a 1% tax on wealth paid by people who have more than 20 million in assets, about 8 in 10 Canadians favor the idea. So this was a poll, I believe, during the pandemic. Yeah. So November 2020, when we were witnessing the wealthy increasing their wealth while everyone else was losing. The support for a wealth tax was at an all-time high. And putting that into figures, this is from policyalternatives.ca. Again, I will link to it below the video. A 1% tax on wealth over 20 million in Canada would generate about 10 billion in revenue in its first year. Could lift hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty, implement long-term increases to funding for important social programs like childcare, healthcare, and seniors care, and help pay for more ambitious climate action. It's just a very obvious thing to do. And again, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's that website. If you ever find yourself in a debate with somebody over should billionaires exist, you have to bring up that site. Again, what does $1 billion look like .website? Go to that site, force the person you're debating to scroll through the page, and I guarantee you're going to change some minds.